At this level, Mama, the number of female candidates has consistently been much lower than that of the males. Mama, this is in contrast with the other 2 levels that you have already released, where we have consistently reported higher registration from the female candidates. The number of candidates registered under UPOLET program was 42,327. This is 25.4% of the total candidature, and this compares to 35,652 or 25.1% in 2024. Male candidates who benefited from the program were 26,247 or 15.8% of the total candidature, while females were 15,733 or 9.5% of total candidature. Table 1 below gives the statistics of the number of candidates who registered and those who sat the examination for the last 5 years. Mama, the first column is the year, then the candidates registered and those that sat, the number of absentees, and the proportion or percentage of those who did not sit. When we study that table, we note that in the post-COVID period, the rate of increase in candidature sitting the examination has been quite rapid, from 96,557 to 165,172. This is a 71.0% increase. 1,228 candidates, that is 0.7% of candidature, did not appear for the examination, compared to 1,108 or 0.8% in 2024. As we may note, Mama, the rate of absenteeism has continued to decline. The number of candidates who have sat is less than 50% of those who sat the UCE examination 2 years ago, and one may wonder where the rest have gone. However, it's our contention that there are several post-UCE pathways that are available to our learners at this level. Ma'am, allow me to report on the registration of special interest groups. These are basically 2 groups, the special needs candidates, where we registered a total of 540 candidates, 274 of them being males and 266 being females that registered in 2025, compared to 437 made up of 249 males and 188 females in 2024. And in table 2, I give a summary of this category by gender and the special considerations that the board has for each of the categories. So the table has the category of the different types of special needs, from the blind to the other, where others include children who may have been suffering from asthma during the period of examinations, those that suffer from epilepsy, and those that have sickle cell anemia. And sometimes we also have the ones that we call circumstantial disabilities, like candidates who may get an accident and break a limb before the examination. The board provides considerations that is suitable for each of the categories. And the table indicates the breakdown of the candidature in each category in 2025, and we compare that to 2024 in the table. Finally, we show, as we have already reported above, that 540 were in this examination compared to 437. The other group, Mama, are the prison's inmates. As the chair has made in his remarks, the board has continued to provide facilities for the correctional facilities to have the inmates registered. So this year, the board registered 70 candidates from Uganda Government Upper Prison Luzira Examination Center, and these were made up of 66 males and 4 females. And this compares to 49, made up of 46 males and 3 females in 2024. 68 of those candidates sat for the examination. Those were 64 males and 4 females. I now turn to the candidates' general performance in the 2025 Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education examinations. The performance of the 2025 candidates is compared with that of those of 2024, and I have shown this in the table number 3, in terms of the number of candidates passing at each of the different principal levels. So the first column shows the pass levels. Those that are passing at 3 principal pass levels, they are achieving a principal pass in each of the 3 subjects they have offered, and those that had 2 principal passes and so on, down to those who did not achieve any of those grades. And we show also the number of candidates and the percentage of candidates and the cumulative percentages overall. Mama, we can see that at the 3 principal pass levels, 68,906 or 41.7% of our candidates were able to achieve that level, compared to 54,338 or 38.6%. And this goes down the table, but the table shows an overall improvement. This is what is important. An overall improvement in performance in 2025 compared to 2024. In terms of the number of principal level passes, a high percentage of 98.9 qualify for the UACE certificate. Under the current regulations, a candidate requires a subsidiary level pass in a principal level subject to qualify for a UACE certificate. Mama, university admissions to degree courses have up to now been considering 2 principal level passes as the minimum requirement. If this consideration is maintained, 113,290 or 68.6 will qualify to be admitted, compared to 92,273 or 65.6 in 2024. This is also consistent with the fact that there was a significant increase in entries for the examination in 2025. Therefore, an extra 21,018 places will have to be available to absorb these. In cases where 1 principal and 2 subsidiary pass levels are considered for admission to other tertiary institutions, for example, the TVET institutions offering diploma level programs, we will have 145,129 or 87.9% of our candidates who will qualify to transition from UACE to tertiary levels. Mama, I also compare male and female performance in table 4 for the year 2025. We have the pass levels, the number of candidates, the percentages, and the cumulative numbers and percentages for the females on the left and the males on the right. Again, as observed in my chairperson's remarks, proportionally, female candidates have performed better than their male counterparts. The percentage passes at the upper levels of 3 principals and 2 principal passes are higher, while percentage passes at the lower levels and failure rate among the female candidates are lower than for the males. I thought the females in the House would applaud the performance of our female candidates. Mama, you can see this in the tables. At 3 principal passes, we have 32,291 candidates, representing 44.6%. This compares to 36,615, or 39.5%. So proportionally, the females are at 44.6%, while the males are lower down at 39.5%. And these better performance is reflected down the table. Mama, I also report on the performance of large entry subjects. Of course, there are a number of subjects that are offered at this level, but we are reporting on the subjects which attract the greatest majority of the learners. Performance of candidates in large entry subjects, including the general paper, which is a subsidiary subject, subsidiary mathematics, and also subsidiary ICT, is compared to that of 2024 in table 5. Mama, in that table, I have the subjects that have been selected because of the large number of candidates, the number of candidates that sat for those subjects, and the percentages that are passing who obtained principal A, and then the cumulative numbers that passed with anything from E upwards to A, and also those that obtained certificates. In other words, from A up to those who obtained subsidiary level passes. So we see the candidature and the percentages are reflected down the columns, the relevant columns. And against that, we also have that of 2024. Mama, in that table, it's shown that at the principal level pass A to E, we have recorded improvements in economics, geography, literature in English, mathematics, agriculture, chemistry, and biology. It is important to note that the STEM subjects, maths, chemistry, biology, where we have had problems in the past, these have significantly improved in performance in 2025. I'd like to report on the entries of mathematics and science. Again, from my chairperson's remarks, we need these subjects, so we feel it is important to report on the entries of these subjects over the last 5 years. I have done this in table 6. We see mathematics in 2020, we had 35,725 candidates. But 5 years down the road, we have that number literally doubled. It's gone up by about 100%. We have now had 70,135. That's a very significant increase. Physics has moved from 13,473 to 21,302. That's the subject that has grown, but quite slowly. Chemistry has also doubled from 17,000 to 37,000, and biology has more than doubled from 15,000 to 35,000 in 2025. So that this information in this table indicates that apart from physics, the entries for the other science subjects have been steadily increasing. That of physics has been fluctuating but the trend overall is also increase. Mama, permit me to report on the performance of female candidates compared to their male counterparts, and I've done that in Table 7. It's the same subjects that were used for reporting the overall performance, and the females again on the left and the males on the right. I show the number of candidates, females, that are taking the different subjects, the percentages of those that are passing with A principal pass levels, and then the percentage, the cumulative, that is obtaining at least a principal E, and we compare that across the table. So when one studies that table, Mama, what you get out of it is that proportionally, female candidates performed better than their male counterparts at the principal level pass A to E. In most of the humanities subjects and in mathematics, physics, general paper, subsidiary mathematics, and subsidiary ICT. However, at the top level of A passes, we see that the males scored better than the female candidates in mathematics and the sciences. It is also important, Mama, to keep track of the female entries for the sciences and mathematics, where we note that these are lower than for the males, and is also consistent with the fact that overall female entry is lower than that of the females. I have done this, reported these entries in Table 8 for the STEM subjects of mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. And we observe that compared to the overall candidature offering these subjects, the females are much lower. For example, Mama, I reported that 70,000 offered mathematics, but out of the 70,000, we have only 25,000 females. Physics, I reported a higher number, but for females, there are only 4,600. So here, the table is clearly showing that female entries for maths and the sciences are increasing, because when you look at 2020, for mathematics, we had only 10,873, and that number has increased by more than 100% to 20,001. Similarly, the other subjects have also shown very significant increases in terms of the percentages. Mama, I will also report the detailed subject performance by gender. These are presented in small tables showing the grades at the different levels for the males and females and the total, and then we plot some curves on the right. But what is observable from these graphs is that the gender parity in most of the subjects is almost achieved. It is very difficult to see from the graph the differences between the males and the females. They are achieving at almost the same level, except in some cases where the differences are visible, as we have shown, for example, in history, in Figure 2, where the females are a little higher in the higher grades, also in economics. In others, like entrepreneurship education, they are almost at par throughout. You see some difference in Christian religious education as well. And this graph also shows where most of the candidates are concentrated in terms of the scores. Mama, this goes up to figure 15, where we show all the subjects that we have picked out. Mama, allow me also now to report on the performance of special interest groups, the special needs candidates, I have done this in table 9. Again, we have put the first column, the divisions, the 3 principal pass levels, the 2 principal pass levels, and so on. And we have disaggregated again by gender. And the first column is the blind. It shows that a total of 16 of the blind candidates out of the 268 who's out of the 26 that passed, that sat, 13 of them obtained the males and 3 females, making a total of 16. And we indicate this for all the other categories of the special needs. Most of the special needs candidates, that's about 58.7, belong to the others categories that I have already explained, but it is also further explained here. For this, we allow only extra time. Most of the other candidates at the 3 principal level, the pass levels, that's 49.6, are in this category of others. Mama, we also have the prisons inmates that I reported about. Performance of the candidates who are inmates are shown in table 10. Again, we show the division, and we have also disaggregated by female and male, the gender, and the totals. We see that 31% of the inmates passed with the 3 principal passes. Mama, this is a very high percentage of people who are sitting under these conditions, and we must thank the prison services for this. Then those that received 2 principal passes are 15, 1 principal pass 16, and so on. And we see that all the females, the 4 of them who sat, have passed the USCE examination and received certificates, while the males, 64 of them, and the other 4, 2 were absent, and the other 2 did not make it. I now make some brief comments on the work of the candidates, Mama. The performance of candidates has shown a notable improvements in mathematics, chemistry, agriculture, geography, economics, as I have noted earlier on. Other subjects with improvements are biology, literature in English, and we note some significant drops in levels of performance in entrepreneurship education, Christian religious education, fine art, and physics. Grades for the science subjects have remarkably improved compared to those of the humanities. In the humanities subjects, the problems that we observe, Mama, continue to be poor interpretation of questions due to the candidates misunderstanding the key concepts that determine the expected responses that they are supposed to give. In history, for example, inadequate levels of analytical and evaluative skills, inadequate show of logical flow of content with relevant examples were observed. In religious education, application-based tasks, especially those that require connections of the teachings in the holy books, that is the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible, in everyday life situations continue to present a consistent problem. In the subject of geography, examiners have also continued to report poor data analysis skills among our candidates, as they still find challenges in using various statistical methods to explain geographical phenomena. Candidates are not relating theory to the environment. They have difficulties in relating fieldwork findings. Fieldwork is one of the very important areas of study in geography at this level. So our candidates have difficulties in relating fieldwork findings to the geography of the areas. Because, Mama, this fieldwork is usually carried out in the local areas where our schools are located, and we expect that candidates will use some of these findings to explain geographical phenomena in their areas. And they should also be able to draw accurate sketch maps for the areas that they have studied. But these are areas where examiners have continued to report problems. Mama, UNEB assesses knowledge and skills in a number of local languages as well at this level. Our findings are that candidates are not grounded in the grammar. They have a problem with ability to translate a passage into English from their local languages coherently. They've also got problems in proverbs, poetry, and other cultural practices that are relevant to their languages and their societies. In the sciences, the general problems of inadequate practical exposure continue to impact performance. Wrong interpretation of experimental procedure leading to wrong data, failure to interpret the data that they obtain from readings, or to present the information graphically, sometimes as a result of using non-uniform scales on the axis that they have on their graphs. Making deductions from observations and writing correct chemical equations continue to pose problems. We also have the problem of not relating science concepts to real-life situations. Teachers also appear to be skipping certain topics. For example, in chemistry, we observe that tasks in physical chemistry are either not answered by the candidates, or those who try to answer these perform not so well. An indication that perhaps teaching in this area is lacking. Honorable Minister, as we have observed above, the constant factor in our candidates' work in all subjects is the failure to relate the knowledge acquired by our learners to real-life situations. We believe, Mama, that with the changes that are taking place in the USCE curriculum, the competency-based approach may be able to save the situation. Mama, as we have done every year, we will prepare detailed reports on the work of the candidates in each of the subject areas, and we will send these to schools to help the teachers realize the areas where they need to do more work. Mama, I will mention something brief on examination malpractice. As observed by the chair of the board, cases of malpractice at this level have remained quite low, and in accordance with those sections of the Boards Act, the results will be withheld pending completion of our investigations. Cases were reported from only 47 centers out of 2,452, and these involved also only 351, or 0.2% of total candidature. Cases that we have observed are mostly receiving assistance in science practical papers. Mama, you will recall a while earlier on, I reported, as I was talking about the general performance, that our candidates lack exposure to practicals. And so when it comes to the examination, some of the teachers want to make up for the shortages during the teaching by trying to assist the candidates. Some of them were found in the examination rooms with unauthorized materials, including mobile phones, and we had some cases of impersonation as well. Currently, the board is proceeding with the hearing of PLE cases that are almost complete, and on Monday, 16th this month, the board will also hear the cases of UCE withheld results. I want to express our gratitude, Mama. Honorable Minister, we glorify God for His mercies and faithfulness. Despite the increases in candidature at all levels, which meant that we had to do more work, we are able to present to you the last of the 3 examinations a day earlier than last year, Mama. This is a real testament of God's grace, and we certainly could not have done this on our own. We are forever grateful to you, Mama, for your unwavering support in areas which were critical for the successful completion of our tasks. We cannot tire, Mama, to acknowledge this support, even when you were busy in the countryside supporting His Excellency the President during the campaigns. We are proud that your extremely significant contributions to the campaigns resulted in a landslide victory for the President that he achieved. I want to thank my chair and members, the chairperson and members of the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports for appropriating the necessary funds, and I'm also grateful to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for releasing these funds to us at the various stages of the examination progress. I wish to sincerely thank the chairperson and members of our board for their guidance at policy and oversight levels. The permanent secretary and senior staff of the Ministry of Education and Sports, the ministry's agencies and other institutions greatly assisted the board during the conduct of the examination, and I wish to express gratitude to the PS and all the other persons in the sector. I express our gratitude to the area supervisors, heads of examination centers, the field officials that we deployed for a job well done. We also thank the Uganda Police, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and the other security agencies that assisted the board in the smooth conduct of the examination. We are very grateful to them. I am grateful to the examiners who marked these scripts. Mama, due to the election program, the examiners that were used to being invited to mark after all the festivity season had passed, that is, they would work in January, this time they had to be invited to mark in December outside their usual schedule. And Mama, they had to work over the Christmas period as well, away from their families. We greatly appreciate this show of patriotism. I thank the institutions that allowed the board to use their premises as marking centers. I also thank the parents and the guardians for supporting the candidates through the USCE stage in their educational journey. I thank the Fourth Estate, the press, who very actively highlighted and publicized UNEB's activities throughout the examination period. I also want to thank the candidates for taking the examination, and to those that have performed well, I say congratulations. Not succeeding at the first attempt is simply an opportunity to try again, and so I encourage those whose expectations have not been met not to despair. God may have other plans for them if they work hard enough. Mama, I acknowledge with profound gratitude the dedication to duty exhibited by the staff of the Uganda National Examinations Board Secretariat. Their commitment and sacrifice, which is never visible to the public, enabled the board to deliver on its mandate. Today, Mama, we shall collectively give glory to God that once again, He has enabled us to deliver as we conclude the major stage of the 2025 examination cycle. I pray, may God bless them. Collection of results, we will be uploading the examination results on the portals as soon as, Mama, you release these results, and each school can therefore download their results as soon as they hear the official release announcement. We will avail hard copies at some point in future. We will inform them for those that may be interested in receiving the hard copies. I want to appeal to other people who may also be interested in these results. They may use the short message service via MTN and Airtel mobile networks, and the results will be posted instantly on their sets. That is, if they follow the correct procedure as we have outlined here, that they go to the messages on their phone menu, type USCE, give space, and type the full index number of the candidate, that is whatever number, stroke the personal number of the candidate, and send to 6600 to the two networks. We sometimes keep getting information that we are not getting through, but it's because they have not followed these instructions. Finally, Mama, I want to appeal to our heads of centers. It is their duties to correct, to cross-check the results of their candidates, and to submit to us any queries or amendments in time. They should also do this electronically through the school portals, and we are giving a period of 21 working days after the release of the results, because adherence to these timelines will enable us to print these certificates in good time. Mama, First Lady, and Honorable Minister, I want to thank you very much for your kind attention. I respectfully submit my statement.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dan Nokrach Odong. Thank you so much, UNEB, for all the work that you've done, as we've heard. Mama, we indeed can confirm that UNEB has always been equal to the task, and we thank them so much and only pray that UNEB continues to deliver in that form. Mama, the next part of this function is going to be the official handing over of the results to you by the chairperson UNEB, after which we'll have a photo moment to celebrate receipt of those results, and then we'll see what follows. So I want to humbly request Professor Celestine Obua, accompanied by Mr. Dan Nokrach Odong, but also accompanied by the ministers present and the Permanent Secretary Minister of Education and Sports. And the beautiful photo normally happens at that moment, where all of us normally participate, but today we are going to be represented by the team up here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment which the nation has been waiting for, when Professor Celestine Obua, the chairman of board, officially hands over the USCE UNEB examination results to Mama, the First Lady and Honorable Minister of Education and Sports. The cameraman can take as many beautiful photos. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mama, we want to thank so much the person who put us in the hands of God, Reverend Dr. Alice Kagume, who also represents the Executive Director, National Council for Education. Thank you. Professor Bua, thank you so much for those opening remarks and for the good leadership of the board. Mr. Odong and the board, we can't thank you enough for all that you do. I was particularly touched by the favors you give to children who are indisposed, as well as those who have various challenges. And so we can't thank you enough. But bottom line, we really want to thank Mama so much for the overall leadership of the ministry. Mama, you have made the ministry shine in so many ways. Can you even clap louder for that? And even recently, when the nation was recognizing some of the best performing ladies of this country, your name was far high on the list, Mama. And so we want to use this opportunity to also wish you a belated International Women's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, allow me to invite Honorable Dr. Jesse Muyingo, who will come to give brief remarks, and also invite Mama to address the nation and release the exams to the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC. Mama, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, my colleagues, the Ministers of State for Education and Sports, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to write on the protocol already established by the previous speakers in the interest of time. Mama, it is indeed my pleasure to warmly welcome you to this very important occasion of the release of 2025 UNEB and USCE examination results. This moment marks the culmination of years of dedication, years of hard work and resilience by our candidates, of course guided by their teachers and supported by their parents or guardians. I would like to commend the Uganda National Examinations Board for the professionalism and the diligence with which they have conducted and processed these examinations. Mama, as highlighted by the chairperson of UNEB, we have witnessed a 17.2% increase in candidature of our learners who sat the examinations 1925 compared to 2024. This growth reflects your visionary leadership, which has expanded access to education for learners across all levels of our education system. And we thank you very much, Mama, for that. I also note, Mama, with appreciation from the statement delivered by the Executive Director of UNEB that this year's USCE results registered comparatively fewer cases of examination malpractices than it was in the previous years. Only 47 centers out of the 2,452 reported cases of malpractices. This is, gentlemen, this is very commendable, and it demonstrates the integrity of our examination process as well as the strengthened supervision of by teachers at the school level. The ministry will be very glad if no single case of examination malpractice is recorded or picked. I'm looking forward to a day when we shall have everybody moving from one level to another without any examination malpractice. Mama, I salute all the teachers who continue to implementing the competence-based curriculum and whose daily efforts continue to shape the learning outcomes we are witnessing today. Mama, I'm also pleased to note that this year we have registered steady improvement in candidates' performance in most science subjects. which includes mathematics, chemistry, biology, as it was indicated, physics. Physics still requires further attention, and I think this one we shall have to take it up as a sector. This progress is very, very encouraging, and it signals that as a country, we are moving in the right direction in promoting STEM education to support innovations and job creation. Ma'am, as we await the official release of the results, I want to urge all stakeholders to receive these results with maturity and responsibility. While examination results are an important measure of academic success, they are not the sole determinant of the learner's potential or failure. Mama, it's now my great honor to invite you to address the nation and officially release the 2025 USCE examination results, which the entire country has been eagerly awaiting for. I thank you, Mama.
Thank you, Honorable Mingo. Please sit down. My colleagues, Honorable Ministers of State for Education, the Chairperson and members of the Education and Sports Committee of Parliament, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, and your team, the Chairperson and members of the Board of UNEB, the Executive Director, UNEB, and your team, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I believe it is an afternoon. Today, we're here yet again to release the last in the series of examinations that UNEB is mandated by law to administer every year. The Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education. Therefore, we must give all the glory to God, for He alone has helped us this far. I applaud the board and staff of UNEB for this achievement, because UNEB has indeed successfully discharged its mandate to the expectations of the nation and on time, despite the large increase in candidature, as you heard them say. We thank God for the 1,402,434 of our children who completed the 3 levels of our basic and secondary education. This is an increase, as you heard, of 107,703, 8.3% from 2024. We also acknowledge with gratitude the decrease in dropout rates in all 3 examinations. I am pleased to note a rapid increase in candidature at the USCE examination level over the last 3 years. In 2023, the candidates, as you all heard, who sat for the examination were 109,486. The number has gone up very significantly from 140,888 in 2024 to 165,175, an increase of 55,686 or 50.9%. This means that more of our learners are transitioning to tertiary levels of education system, and this we must thank God for. I am the executive director's statement indicates that entries for sciences and mathematics have also been rising. While I fully recognize the invaluable role of the humanities in shaping social morals and inculcating business and fostering an entrepreneurial spirit, promoting cultural awareness and nationalism, I believe still that, as I'm sure you all do, that STEM subjects are the bedrock for industrial development, and we are all concerned that they should keep going up a little more. The statement further shows an increase of over 21,000 more candidates who have qualified for university places compared to the previous year. I'm confident that we have sufficient places in our tertiary institutions, both public and private, to absorb these learners. What our young people appear not to appreciate are the opportunities available in our technical and vocational institutions. Products of these institutions are readily taken up by the industries or are able to create jobs by themselves. So I continue to encourage them to consider that career path. The rewards are becoming more and more visible, I think. I am pleased to note also the good performance by girls, and I congratulate them on this remarkable achievement. I am particularly impressed by the steady increase in the number of girls taking on science subjects, and that they have done very well. This demonstrates that there is nothing mysterious about mathematics and sciences. What we now need is more encouragement and the presence of the role models of mothers in our society who are scientists. So, parents and guardians, I call upon you to intentionally step into your God-given role. Please be present and actively involved in your children's lives. May you never forget that education is a shared responsibility, and its foundation is built within the family. With love, with support, and a positive family environment, you play a key role in nurturing your children to lead fulfilling lives and to value education. Now, from the release statement, comments on the work of candidates indicate that they do not relate the knowledge acquired to real-life situations in their communities. Education, as you just heard from the chair of the board, is not about acquisition of knowledge per se, but it's about how knowledge helps us to be creative, productive, and able to find solutions to the problems in our communities and our country. That is the reason why government, through the Ministry of Education and Sports, has embarked on a fundamental review of the curriculum. We recently heard from the study by UNEP the exciting changes we're seeing in the behavior of our children who have gone through the lower secondary competence-based curriculum. The Ministry of Education and Sports, through the National Curriculum Development Center, has embarked on reforming the USCE curriculum. Currently, we have an aligned curriculum being implemented, where excess and unnecessary content has been removed and duplication of information across subject areas has also been addressed. Furthermore, the teaching approaches have been aligned to the approaches at UCE so as to provide a smooth transition from the UCE. And MCDC will now move steadily ahead to complete the reform of the USCE curriculum. And when this is completed, I expect that the exciting story we had at UCE will also be told at this level, at A level. This will require concerted efforts by the ministry's department responsible for teacher training and the agencies, NCDC and UNEB, to ensure adequate preparation of teachers to appropriately deliver the new curriculum. The implementation of the UCE curriculum has been a significant learning experience. With the lessons learned, we are now equipped to replicate effective practices and to mitigate the risks. I congratulate the candidates who have performed well. I encourage the learners who may not be satisfied with their own results to use the opportunity that you have to try again or to consider other education pathways. The most important thing is to keep yourselves safe, remain positive, and not lose hope in your ability to succeed and have a productive future, because it is possible. I thank the team at the Ministry of Education and Sports for supporting schools in the implementation of the curriculum. My appreciation also goes to all our foot soldiers, the teachers, of course, especially those who prepared the candidates. Your commitments and consistent dedication to education of our children is truly commendable. And I'm grateful to our parents and guardians who provide the support the candidates need through this cycle. I congratulate the chairperson and the board members, the executive director and staff of UNEB on a job very well done. I thank the security forces and all those who supported UNEB at the different stages of the examination process. It is now my pleasure to release the results of the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Examination for public